Are you ready to plant cantaloupes, cucumbers, and watermelons? I sure am. These are your late start seeds. So today we are going to be talking about late start seeds and how you go about planting them, when you plant them, and I will let you know which varieties of these I am planting today. If you haven't seen it yet, I did do a video on early start seeds that we planted 2 weeks ago. And now that it's April 4th, I'm going to be planting my late start seeds. The reason I didn't plant cantaloupe, cucumbers, and watermelons with the first round of seeds, like my broccoli, kale, lettuces, is because these grow quickly and they grow big. And if you start them too early inside of your little greenhouse in your house or on a windowsill, they're gonna get really big and leggy in your house and they're gonna need larger pots. So by planting these 3.5 weeks before my last frost date, this is ensuring that they're gonna have time to grow inside before my last frost date, but at the same time not grow so large that I can't fit them in my indoor greenhouse or on a windowsill in the smaller size pots that I have for them. So if you haven't seen my seed starting video or my early start seeds video, you'll want to print out your planting calendar so that you know which seeds to plant and when for your area. You can find this planting calendar for your area on the Old Farmer's Almanac website. So I will place the link for that website in the description below. You just click the More button under the title of this video and you will see the link to this. You follow that link, you put in your zip code for your area, click search. It will tell you your last spring frost date, and that is an estimated date for when you can expect the freezing temperatures to end in your area. And so for my area in Rehoboth, Massachusetts, the estimated last frost date for spring is April 28th. So we're about 3.5 weeks away from that last frost date. But when that date is coming closer, I will be looking at the 10-day forecast of the weather to see if we can get the plants hardened earlier than that, or if we can expect to plant them later than that date. But that gives you a general idea. So once you print that off, I like to highlight on the planting calendar which seeds are going to be early start seeds, late start seeds, or direct sow seeds. So I went through and I did that, and based off of the dates that the calendar gave me, I did plant my early start seeds, and today we will plant the late start seeds based on the dates they gave me. Now on the planting calendar, you are going to see lots of varieties of fruits and vegetable plants that you can plant. You want to go ahead and select the ones that you would like to grow, that you believe you and your family would actually consume the fruits and vegetables that are produced. And so for me, that is the cantaloupes, cucumbers, and watermelons. Those are favorites of our household and things that we enjoy growing in our garden. Okay, let's start with cantaloupes. For cantaloupes, I have 3 varieties. I have Honey Rock Cantaloupe from M.I. Gardner that I just got this year. I have Hearts of Gold Cantaloupe by Burpee that I got a few years ago. And I have Hal's Best Jumbo Cantaloupe. This one I also got a few years ago from Ferry Morse. So I'd like to plant a variety of these 3. I really enjoy cantaloupe. Not so much a cantaloupe from the grocery store, but once you've had a cantaloupe that you've grown in your garden and it's like sun ripened, warm, you cut it open right fresh picked from the garden, the taste is absolutely delicious. Nothing like a grocery store cantaloupe. I really enjoy planting an entire raised bed just full of cantaloupe vines and enjoying all of the ripened fruit. I am going to use larger pots for planting the cantaloupe. They do grow quickly, and I have a whole variety of all different recycled pots that I've saved and have received from family over the years. from different plants that we've bought from stores and just save the pots. So we're going to be planting in those. Now I am gonna write on the container how many seeds I've planted, so that way I can count and see how many actually germinated and have an idea for next year what the germination rate is for each plant. So if I planted 4 of Hal's best cantaloupes and only 2 germinated, then I could write on the packet 50% germination rate, so I know for next year to expect that half of them probably won't germinate. Just to kind of give me an idea of how many to plant. I do find that the older the seed packet, the lower the germination rate, but it's not a significant difference in my experience, so I do account for that when I'm planting. So for the honey rock cantaloupe from MI Gardener that I got this year, I do expect a high germination rate, but for these two, these seeds were packed in 2019, these seeds in 2021. This one will probably have a much lower germination rate. This one maybe just slightly lower. So keep that in mind when I'm planting. But definitely save your seeds, because when the packet comes with 50 cantaloupe seeds, that's a lot of cantaloupe plants. And when you're getting 3 to 4 pounds of fruit from each plant, that's a lot of cantaloupe. To have 200 pounds of cantaloupe in your garden. What a wonderful thing, but that's a lot to eat. Okay, and for planting, I use a Sharpie, some craft sticks, little popsicle sticks from the dollar store. I snap them in half, so I get double the amount. And I write with a Sharpie what I'm planting, and I actually use my Sharpie to make small holes for the seeds. And because cantaloupe grows so quickly, I'm only gonna put 2 seeds per pot in the hopes that one of those will germinate. But if they were to both germinate, then I would just transplant one of those to a different pot. I'm gonna plant 8 of the honey rock cantaloupe. I'm going to plant 4 of the hearts of gold. And I'm going to plant 6 of the Hal's best. I am planting more of the honey rock cantaloupe because these are a petite variety, ideal for small garden spaces. So I'm thinking that I'll be able to fit more of these in my raised bed, so I'll do more of these. Whereas Hal's best jumbo, I know these are delicious. I really enjoyed these last year, and so these I know get to be quite a good size. So I am gonna do 6 of these because I do enjoy them so much, but knowing how much garden space I'm gonna need, keeping that in mind. Also hearts of gold. I do enjoy these, just not as much as Hal's. I'm doing less of these, but they do also take up space too. So having variety is nice. Let's get these 4 hearts of gold planted. So 4 seeds, and I want 2 seeds per pot. So I'm going to use 2 pots to place these in. Now I have already watered these pots so that they have nice moist soil, so that way once the seeds are in, I don't have to worry about watering them and displacing the seeds. And I like to keep the soil moist, so I will water on the tray below them so that the plant can suck the water up into the soil rather than watering from above, which can displace the seeds in the plant. Okay, so for these, they would like them planted at a 1/2 inch depth. So I use my little Sharpie to go down a 1/2 inch, poke 2 holes, and I do set them apart from each other so that if they both germinate, I will be able to transplant one of them out into its own pot to give it room to develop a root system.
Mom, I have 2 good news.
Yeah?
The 2 good news is our chickens laying eggs, and we got 4 eggs.
We got 4 eggs? Wow, thank you so much. That's wonderful.
The other good news is our chickens laying eggs.
Right now?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Well, I gotta place these beautiful eggs in an egg carton in the hatching egg storage area. I will be right back. I just love his enthusiasm for finding eggs. Okay, so I wrote out Cantaloupe Hearts of Gold so I know the variety, and I am gonna put today's date on here so that I know when to expect cantaloupes to be harvested from each variety, because your seed packet will tell you how many days to harvest. So for this, it's 90 days to harvest. So having the name on here, Hearts of Gold, I'll be able to look at my seed packet, look at the date that I planted it, and find out when I can expect to harvest my cantaloupe, which is always nice. Less of a guessing game that way. And that one's done. Okay, let's do Hal's Best Jumbo, which is 6 of these. So these, I'm gonna put 2 per pot, so I'll need 3 pots. These are also to be planted at 1/2 inch. So same thing, and I'll cover those up gently. And I will put labels on them. And then last but not least, we are going to do the Honey Rock Cantaloupe from In My Gardener. Try these for the first time and see how these come out. The reviews were good on these, so I am hopeful that this will be a delicious smaller variety of cantaloupes for our garden. So these are also a 1/2 inch deep, and we're gonna do 8 of them. And with cantaloupe, if I had any issues with germination, I can direct sow these as well 1 to 2 weeks after the last frost, so I'm not worried about planting not enough of these because I know I can direct sow them into my raised garden bed as an option as well. And then these are mature in 80 days. Okay, so I'm gonna need 4 pots for these 8 seeds. And that's the last 4 pots that I have here. And 2 per pot at a 1/2 inch depth. And then I label them as Cantaloupe Honey Rock. Yes, dear.
What's 4 plus 2 more?
6.
Because we got 6 eggs.
You found 2 more?
Yeah, they're in the spot that the chicken were laying eggs. He was done.
She just finished?
Yeah.
2 more eggs. That's wonderful. Thank you for bringing me the eggs. They're nice and warm.
Yeah. That one were warm too.
I love when they're warm. That makes them perfect for storing, for hatching.
And these ones are really warm.
Yeah?
Yeah. Feel?
They're very warm.
This one has polka dots.
So pretty.
See the little polka dots?
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes it white.
Beautiful, perfect eggs.
Did you show the other ones?
Yes, I did. Now we're gonna go put them in storage. I'll be right back.
I'll be outside.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna get these labeled. And now our cantaloupe are done. So these will go into our little indoor greenhouses in our sliding glass doors here so that they can get some wonderful sunshine to help them. I do cover them with saran wrap so that it helps keep the moisture in and keep some of the warmth in even more so. And that will help them to germinate. Once I start to see some germination with little plants coming through, that is when I remove the saran wrap. All right, now that we have cantaloupes all set and in the greenhouse, we are going to do the cucumbers. Okay, so for cucumbers, I have 5 varieties to choose from. I did pick out 2 new cucumbers this year. A Boston pickling cucumber and also a Ashley cucumber, both from M.I. Gardner. So the reviews were really good, and I did see the name Boston, and I was like, oh, Boston, I love Boston. It's only an hour from my house, and my family and I, we do love to visit. So yeah, I totally picked the cucumber because it had the name Boston. But I'm excited to try them both, new varieties this year. So we'll be planting these. And then these 3 cucumbers varieties I have enjoyed in the past. We've got the tender green cucumber from Fairy Moss. We have the English cucumber Chelsea Prize from Renee's Garden. And then we have the Fairy Morse cucumber slicer. So cucumbers, they don't like to be transplanted. They can go into shock. So I'm just going to put 1 cucumber seed in each of these. I have 13 pots here, and that way if it doesn't germinate in 8 to 10 days, I can always pop another seed in that pot. It'll just be approximately 10 days later than the other varieties, and that's okay because of how fast these cucumbers are going to grow. This variety takes 60 days to harvest. This one 55 to 65 days till maturity. So it is quicker than, say, the cantaloupe, so I'm not too worried about them not germinating and not having enough. So I'll put 1 seed in each and watch for germination. Let's do 2 seeds of the English cucumber Chelsea Prize. So I'm just gonna make the hole right in the center of the pot because I'm only putting the 1 seed. The planting depth is 1 inch. Goes in, 1 in each, and gently cover it up. And then I'll label it. I like to put the name of the fruit or vegetable on top, so I put cucumber, and then below that is where I put the different variety names. So I'm just gonna put Chelsea Prize below it. Let's do 2 plants of the tender green burpless cucumber. So these are a 1/2 inch depth instead of the 1 inch depth. So we'll only go a 1/2 inch on these. And again, with these, if I have an issue with them germinating in the pots, I can always direct sow them. With how quickly they grow, that's an option as well. So I wouldn't fret over how many you should plant and will I have enough. Don't worry, there's always the opportunity to go back in 8 to 10 days later and add another seed, or just to wait to direct sow them. Your harvest will just be a bit later, depending on when you plant the seeds. All right, so I'm gonna put those 2 seeds in there and write 2 on here. Right in the center at a 1/2 inch depth. And that 1/2 inch depth, that 1 inch depth, I'm totally just eyeballing it. I'm not taking out a measuring tape, but you certainly can, but it's okay if there's some variation. Seeds do want to grow, so they are usually willing to grow even if you don't get the measurements exactly right. Okay, next is the slicer cucumbers. These are going to be at a 1/2 inch depth. And these I'm also going to do 2 seeds. So I'll put them in the center of 2 pots, 1 in each. Drop that down in there and gently cover it up and place a label. So let's do 3 seeds of Ashley cucumber. I'm gonna put a 3 on there. So these are at a 1 inch depth. So I need 3 cucumber seeds. And I'm just gonna place those labels in there. And then last but certainly not least is the Boston pickling cucumber. We're gonna do 4 pots. So we're gonna need 4 seeds, put a 4 on the packet. And we are going to plant these at 1 inch depth. And it says we should see germination on these in 2 weeks. Okay, so if you accidentally drop an additional seed in to the pot like I did with this one, it's okay. I wouldn't try to fish it out because the seeds just get pushed deeper. I would just leave those 2 seeds in and pull another seed out and place it in another pot. The 2 seeds in here, they both might germinate, but they also might not. So if you only have 1 seed come up, perfect. You don't have to do anything. If you have a second seed come up, they're gonna be in that same spot since they both went into the same hole. You're gonna either want to cut the smaller seedling off at the base, or you could try to remove it to transplant it elsewhere, but you may end up damaging both seedlings in that process, so there's a risk with that. But do what you're comfortable with. It can be hard to thin seedlings. I totally understand. I always do my best to try to transplant them when I can, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, so now I'm just going to label those. When I think Boston, I think of day trips to go see the Boston Aquarium, the Boston Children's Museum, the Museum of Science, the delicious food that they have there at Faneuil Hall. Always a fun day trip going to Boston. And I'm hopeful that we'll have great germination and I'll get to pickle some Boston pickling cucumbers. All right, so that'll do it for our cucumbers. The soil is nice and moist, so I'm just gonna cover it with saran wrap, get it into the greenhouse, and then hopefully in 8 to 10 days, we are gonna see some beautiful little cucumber seedlings coming up. Okay, let's plant watermelons. For watermelons, I have 5 varieties. I am trying 2 new varieties this year from MI Gardener. I've got Cal Sweet Watermelon, as well as Crimson Sweet Watermelon. So I'm gonna do those. I tried Renee's Garden Doll Baby watermelons, but it wasn't the most delicious watermelons we've had. It wasn't our favorite, so the kids, my husband and I, decided we're gonna skip this watermelon this year. Although it was really cool to see watermelons with yellow inside rather than the traditional pink, just the flavor wasn't the same for us. So we're gonna skip that one. I picked up this packet at the dollar store. This is Sugar Baby watermelons. So we're gonna give this a try for the first time. And I didn't realize it, but I also picked up Sugar Baby watermelons from Seeds of Change when I was at Tractor Supply. So looks like we're gonna be trying Sugar Baby watermelons from 2 different brands, American Seed and Seeds of Change. So they're the same variety, but from different seed companies. So I'll put that so I can see if there's a taste difference between the 2. Because I always love to see what you're actually getting from each packet. Just makes it more fun. Now we do love eating watermelon in our garden, and we definitely plant a lot of watermelon, and I just love to see the vines go crazy in the garden. Yes, it's a lot of like stepping over them and trying to like dig through to find the watermelons, but the kids and I love doing that. We really like the hunt of finding the watermelons in the crazy vines. So let's just do all of these pots here. And I'm gonna put 2 watermelon seeds in each one, and then if they both germinate, I can transplant them into other pots. So let's do 5 pots of each with 2 seeds in each, so 10 seeds of each. Yeah, we'll keep it simple, 10 seeds of each. Okay, let's start with Crimson Sweet Watermelon. I'm gonna put 10 on here. Now, if all this germinates, will I plant them all in my garden? Absolutely not. They will definitely not all fit. However, it gives me the option, if I do have a lot of extras, to sell them or give them away to friends and family. And I'd rather have more than not enough. Wow, these seeds are beautiful. They're like 2 different shades of brown speckled together. It's beautiful. Okay, let's get these 10 beautiful seeds planted. So we're gonna put 2 seeds per container, and this variety goes a 1/2 inch deep. So I'm gonna prepare my 5 pots with my 1/2 inch deep holes. So this is the watermelon Crimson Sweet. Okay, let's do the Cal Sweet watermelons. We're gonna do 10 of these in 5 pots, 2 seeds in each pot. And these also need to be planted at a 1/2 inch depth. So these are like a deep brown. Very pretty. And then we have the Sugar Baby watermelons from the dollar store, which is the American Seed Company. We'll do 10 of these. These are also going to be a 1/2 inch depth. These are like a lighter brown, but they've got almost like a grayish tone to them. All right, and then the last of the watermelons is the Sugar Baby watermelon from Seeds of Change. These are nice plastic seed packets, but you do have to use scissors to cut them open. So I'm gonna grab some scissors. And they actually do look very similar to the Sugar Baby watermelon seeds from the dollar store. So that's good. All right, and this packet says 1/2 inch depth for the seeds. So I'm gonna go and put the 10 seeds in the 5 containers. And then I wrote out the labels for the dollar store one with a little dollar sign next to Sugar Baby. And then on these labels, I put the Sugar Baby watermelons and SOC under it for Seeds of Change. So that way I'll know when we try them if there's a taste difference between the seeds that I got from the dollar store versus the seeds that we got from Tractor Supply. And that completes our watermelon seeds. All right, I'm very happy to have those planted. The only other seeds that I'm planting late in pots indoors is pumpkins. So pumpkins I will be planting. They do grow very fast. So for pumpkins in my area, Massachusetts, they recommend planting them between April 7th and April 19th. So we're April 4th today, so a few more days. So I'm gonna wait a few days and then I will get these planted. I don't wanna wait any longer than a few more days and do it right at the recommended start date, because last year when I tried planting these, we got beautiful vines and flowers, but the pumpkins did not have enough time to actually grow before we got the first frost because I planted them too late. So you don't want to plant them too early because they're going to completely take over the indoor greenhouse with their long vines, but you also don't want to plant them too late because you might not get your pumpkins in time before your frost, depending on how long of a growing season you have. So for these Cherokee bush pumpkins, they take 110 days approximately until they're ready to harvest, and the carving and pie pumpkins take 85 to 90 days. So it does require a longer growing season. So a few more days and I'll get these planted, which I'll probably plant 3 or 4 of each of these in the hopes that we can have some pumpkins this fall. And of course, all the other seeds that are left that we haven't covered in our early start seeds video or in our late start seeds videos, those are going to be the direct sow seeds. So those will be sowed after our frost date of April 28th. So check out that video in about a month or so when we sow those seeds directly in our garden. Of course, that is if the weather cooperates. And so those seeds, I'm hoping to see some good germination like we've seen with our early start seeds. So these are our tomatoes that we placed on March 15th. Oh, they smell great. And some of them are ready, like these 4 here, to be moved to their own pots because they've grown their true set of leaves. But then we have some smaller ones over here. So interesting enough, the tomato seeds that I placed in these little white pots that I had gotten for free curbside pickup from a Craigslist ad, they germinated fantastic. Like, they look really good. They're significantly taller. And then you have these biodegradable pots that stay pretty moist, but the germination rates are still pretty good, just not as good as these pots, and the plants are smaller. So I'll show you a little closer. So they were planted at the exact same time. So let's compare, we'll compare the same variety. So these are San Marzanos and these are San Marzanos. Planted at the same time, and definitely a height difference. These are like twice the height of these here. These don't have their true leaves yet, and these do. So this is my first time using these biodegradable pots. So in the future, I'm gonna stick to the plastic pots because they seem to do better for as far as germination. But we'll see. I'm gonna continue to grow them. I'm gonna separate them out and we'll see how they end up developing. Maybe they'll catch up. But in the next video, I will be separating out these tomato plants because this is way too many tomato plants in one cup. So we're gonna be teasing them out of the soil and placing them in their own individual cups. You can actually start to see the roots coming from the bottom because I do water from the bottom. So these are ready, but these still need a little bit more time. So I might have to actually do them in increments because I don't want the roots really developing out the bottom too much. So we'll do that in stages when each of them are ready. Hope you all are enjoying your spring and are looking forward to getting into the garden. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't started your farm yet, what are you waiting for? Get your farm on.
Like and subscribe.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want a farm? A wicked awesome farm? Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah, welcome to our show. Whoa. Just one